Hello, my name is Kyler Sweet. I'm a senior at CSI in the engineering pathway, and this is my capstone project. The purpose of the project is to create a unique product using the variety of skills and programs we have learned during our time at CSI. For my capstone, I decided to create a functional robotic arm complete with 4 servos controlled by 2 analog joysticks. The intended use is to pick up small metal objects using a magnetic tip. After spending some time thinking over ideas for my capstone, I decided on a robotic arm because of my interest in robotics and robotic systems. To start off, I used the 3D Experience CAD software to design each part of my capstone revolving around the dimensions of each servo. In total, there are 5 pieces to my capstone, and once each part was completed, I exported it as an STL file and 3D printed it at CSI. However, there were a lot of failures, mostly due to improper measuring and overlooking certain design aspects. To fix this, I simply went back into each design and altered my mistakes and reprinted them so they were correct. Once I had all the parts completed, I began the assembly of the robotic arm. For the first servo, I attached it to base 1 and 2 using the screws included in this packaging, which connected it to the round piece of the servo underneath. For the next 3 servos, I attached them using the corresponding extruded cuts I made in 3D Experience and secured them using screws. For the connectors, I screwed them into place and connected them together to the corresponding servo. I did the same thing for the last 2 servos as well. And with that, my robot arm was built. Now that I had the robot arm constructed, it was time to start the programming. For controlling my robot, I used the Arduino programming software and wired it using a Mega Arduino board for the inputs of the joysticks and a breadboard to provide power and a ground source for the servos. Initially, I planned on controlling my robotic arm only using 1 analog joystick. However, this proved to be ineffective as I had no way of resetting the robotic arm to its original position. So, to fix this, I decided to add an additional analog joystick to reset each servo when used. By this point, my capstone was done. However, I still had about a month before the deadline, so I decided to add a few extras and fix some issues I found later on. First, I built a simple controller out of wood to make controlling the robot easier and more comfortable to hold in your hands. Next, I built a wooden box to hide the electronics on my project to make it look more professional, and used a laser cutter at CSI to create the controls for easier understanding. Lastly, I secured the robotic arm to a piece of wood to prevent shifting during movement for better accuracy.